Where do you go to watch anime? When someone asks me this, I would typically mention the usual places: Crunchyroll, High Dive, Funimation, etc. But lately I found myself adding Netflix to that list. If you had asked me that 5 years ago, I would only mention Netflix if I hadn't paid my other subscriptions that month. So is Netflix still worth checking out if you have all your other subs? Well, actually, yeah. Crunchyroll still has the largest library, and Funimation has a lot of exclusive dubs. Where Netflix separates itself is with its licensed original content. And you know what? Many of their originals are pretty amazing. I thought it would be easy to make this top 10 list, but I actually had to put some serious thought into it. Since I could only mention 10, there are a lot of great anime that didn't make this list. Also, all of these shows are listed as Netflix originals, so you won't be seeing Unlimited Blade Works, Gundam, or any of the other more popular shows here. With that said, I'm the noob, and this is my top 10 list of Netflix original anime series.
The participants must continue to fight each other until there is only one survivor remaining. All for a chance to fulfill their wish.
I've seen a lot of bad reviews for this show, and I completely disagree with all of them. First, if you want waifus, Nero's got you covered. But there's a whole lot more to like about this show. The episodes flow in each other really well, and the animation's really well done. The story follows Hakuno, a guy who embodies hatred but is driven by an unknown desire. It follows him as an academy student who eventually fights space battles with the aid of an ancient Roman emperor. If that sounds crazy, welcome to the Fate franchise. I would not recommend this as an intro to the Fate franchise, but for any fans of the series out there, there's plenty to enjoy here.
You are not one of us, and yet he treats you as so. Servants will always be servants. That is our way. The old way.
Perhaps the old way should be left in the past.
Yasuke is one of those shows that you might have missed if you weren't tuning in to Netflix on a regular basis. I don't remember seeing any promotion for it before it was released, which is a shame. This is a good show that blends elements of action, fantasy, and sci fi in a feudal Japan setting. The plot centers around Yasuke, a former samurai who now works as a boatsman. After a singer at a local bar asks him to take her daughter Saki to a faraway doctor, he finds himself on a mission to defend Saki from both priests and demons seeking to exploit her supernatural powers. If there was one criticism I have of this show, it's that it was too short and I felt like the ending was a little rushed. However, this is a great show that I highly recommend. Let me start off by talking about this show's animation. This show was made by Studio Trigger. They have a style of animation that is very unique in this day and age. They take traditional 2D animation to its limit, and it shows. This show is vibrant and oozing with color. The characters have exciting and exaggerated poses and expressions that make even the most insignificant scenes a joy to watch. Beyond the stellar animation, the story is pretty good. It starts off by introducing us to the world and how the species of human animal hybrids called beastmen have been ostracized by society. The main character, Michiru, goes on a run after being turned into a beastman herself and takes refuge in a city made up of beastmen called Anima City. Once there, she teams up with a wolfman named Shiro to solve crimes and uncover conspiracies that will affect the entire city. This show is action packed and is really just a fun show to watch.
Done what I have to do to end this war.
If you gave up on Transformers after Michael Bay destroyed the franchise, you might find Netflix's Transformers anime a breath of fresh air. They went back to the roots, both figuratively and literally. The series starts off on Cybertron and tells the origin story of the Autobots and their war with the Decepticons. One thing I really enjoyed about this take is that they really flesh out the Decepticons more, and it does a good job of portraying them as more than just evil for the sake of being evil. The world of Cybertron is the most fascinating aspect of this show. It has a dystopian cyberpunk vibe that draws you in and makes you want to learn more about it. And one thing that puts this far above those Michael Bay atrocities is that this show respects the continuity of the original shows and builds on it rather than rewriting it. Definitely a must watch for Transformers fans.
When all of you awaken, you may find yourself in heaven. Or you may be in hell. But whichever the case, I sincerely hope you will all strive to stay alive.
Seven Seeds is a story about the government selecting teams of people to preserve in cryo-freeze pods so that the human species will be able to survive after the apocalypse. I'm going to be honest, I skipped over the show when it first premiered. The trailer didn't do a good job of selling me on this show. I had just got around to watching this a couple of weeks ago, and I was kicking myself for not checking the show out sooner. Its premise is nothing groundbreaking. The real draw of this show is the characters. This show has a huge cast of characters and yet manages to give them all enough development to make you care about their struggles in this post-apocalyptic world. Probably my biggest criticism of this show is that you really don't get to know a whole lot about each character's life before the apocalypse, with the exception of Summer Team A. However, this show does a great job of exploring each character's personality and showing their growth over the course of the show, so that I didn't feel like I was missing out on too much. I would really like to see another season of this show in the future.
Our existence had been kept hidden from everyone.
I don't think there is a single anime fan alive that isn't at least aware of the modern masterpiece that is Violet Evergarden. The one thing that makes this show great is Violet herself. I prepared myself for a tearjerker going into this, and I still got caught off guard by the emotional impact of many of the scenes in this show. You also can't talk about this show without talking about the insane levels of quality in every part of its production. The artwork is stellar, the animation is fluid, the environments and set pieces convey a believable and lived-in world, and the soundtrack is just amazing. I honestly did not have a single criticism for this show. Netflix struck gold with this one. If you are a gamer in the 90s, you got to be a part of a special time in gaming history that we will probably never see again. Yeah, games have gotten a lot more advanced, but I feel like the excitement around games has gone, or at least it has for me. I remember how incredible it felt to play Street Fighter II for the first time, or my first time playing Tomb Raider on the PS1. High Score Girl is a love letter to gamers who grew up in the 90s. The main character, Haruo, is a kid who lives for games. He forms a bond and a rivalry with this girl from his school named Akira. Normally, in a show like this, you would see some tropes that were made up for the show based on what some out of touch writers think gamers and gaming are like. However, this show decides to respect real gaming nostalgia by using actual games and making characters that are deeper than just a single character trait. I really felt like everyone involved with making this show, along with the author of the original manga, are actual gamers. There is just a lot to love about this show, especially for people who love retro games.
I'm lonely, but I don't want anyone to know that I am.
Carol and Tuesday is about two girls from different walks of life connecting over a shared passion to become successful in the music industry. The main setting for the show is actually on Mars. It takes place far in the future where all music is created by AIs, and the music industry feels that music created by humans is inferior. I really liked the concept and was interested in seeing how Carol and Tuesday were going to make a name for themselves. Their main rival is a girl their age named Angela, who really grows a lot herself as a character over the course of the show. Every other character was just as interesting, and I don't think there was a single character throughout the show that I found to be underdeveloped. Considering the premise of this show, it makes sense that it would have a killer soundtrack. Music is heavily integrated into each episode, and the show is worth rewatching just for the soundtrack alone.
She's just so bright. Comey! I know. Comey can't communicate. And I also know that she really wants to talk to people.
Comey Can't Communicate is about a girl who suffers from severe social anxiety. With the help of her friend Tadano, she wants to make 100 friends while she's in school. The cast of characters are all very eccentric and likable. It's a unique and quirky show that I think anybody would enjoy. Little Witch Academia has so much depth that I could only scrape the surface of it here. I saw Academia in the title, and at first I thought it was going to be like My Hero, but with magic. Man, was I dumb. The show is about a girl named Ako who goes to magic school to fulfill her dream of becoming a witch. On her first day, she makes friends with two other new students, Lotte and Susie. All three of them are just really great characters. Every episode is so engaging that you will start with one episode, lose track of time, and several hours later realize that you watched the entire show. Even the filler episodes are great. Every single character in this show is also great. You could make a spin off about any of them, and I would watch it. Oh, and if this art style is looking familiar, that's because our old friends at Studio Trigger made this show as well. I've already praised their art and animation earlier in this video when I talked about BNA, but I'm going to do it again anyway. This show looks amazing. You could randomly pause this show at any point, frame it, and put it on your wall. The characters' expressions and movement just feel so alive. This is further enhanced by the great voice acting. Every character's voice sounds like what I imagined those voices would sound like when I saw their picture. This show also has some pretty epic action scenes, especially in the finale. Every aspect of this show's production is praiseworthy. When I sat down to make this list, I put Little Witch Academia at number 1, and then I spent the rest of the time trying to figure out how to place 2 through 10. This is overall just a really great show that truly deserves this number 1 spot. So that's my list of top 10 Netflix original anime series. It's probably wildly different from most other people's, but if you were looking for a new show to watch, you definitely can't go wrong with any of these. Me and Solo are working on some new content, so if you want to see more videos from us in the future, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment with anime series on Netflix you would recommend. This is Noob, signing out.